With the Carolina Panthers coming current with the Carolina Panthers coming out of minicamp and rookie meetings, it's safe to say that the Carolina Panthers, Dave Canellis, as well as Dan Morgan, are extremely happy with the decision they made to take wide receiver Teteroa McMillan at the 8th pick. But the question remains, did Canellis attempt to remake his Tampa Bay offense, or was he trying to make a better version of it? Want to find out how this group of wide receivers stacks up to the Tampa Bay wide receivers? Find out next on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, Growlers. Thank you so much for joining us here on another edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Of course, you're growling with the one and only Mr. CeeLo here, and just want to take a minute to see how you guys are doing. Hope you're doing great. You guys know when it's this time of the year, kids out of school, it's been insanely busy. But you guys don't want to hear about all that. You guys have lives too. But haven't been with you guys much since the draft, but I still want you guys to know I'm still extremely happy about what we've done. Do wish they would go ahead and make a decision on safety. That's a huge deal for me. I think we definitely need to go ahead and make a move at safety, even though we didn't make one during the year. Or during the draft. But ultimately, we want to get this thing going tonight. As we said, I'm of the belief that Dave Canellis has built this offense to look a lot like Tampa Bay's. And when you really start to break down what Dave Canellis wants, and I've heard a lot of people make comparisons that Teteroa McMillan is a lot like Mike Evans. Now, it's not going to be an easy fill to be Mike Evans. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw Mike Evans when he was at Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel, the first thing I told people was that the other guys got open because of Mike Evans. And Johnny Manziel was great because of Mike Evans. I knew as soon as people were saying, okay, Johnny Manziel's going first round, and they had Mike Evans up there at the top, the first thing I said was this guy could have easily been the number one pick in this draft. And the reality of it is he's been nothing but a revelation since he's been in the league with the Buccaneers. This guy's the first player, if I recall correctly, it's in either his first 10 seasons or 11 seasons. This guy's had 1,000 yards. And this is with, like last year, or was it the year before, he caught one at the end of the season and broke 1,000. I mean, this is a dude that stayed hurt in a couple of his seasons. Now, not in a bad way, but he's had injury issues. And he's still been able to get out there and do his thing. Mike Evans is to me, Julio Jones did a lot of things that overshadow just how good Mike Evans is. And if you had your pick, a lot of people would say Julio Jones. I'm taking Mike Evans. Because not every season he had a Tom Brady. I'm going to be honest with you, to go through the stint that he had with some of the quarterbacks that he had over there. Listen, you can say whatever you want. If you don't believe in Teteroa McMillan, that's okay. He's going to do like Bryce has done. Many of you have chastised Bryce, and some of you are still not believers. I am a full believer because the reason why Dave Canellis went out and got Teteroa McMillan isn't because he showed that he needed a number one. He is having enough faith in him to see what he can do to maximize his skill set. This is not a question of whether or not Bryce can do it. This is a question of how far can he go. Now that you got a really big go get it receiver like a Mike Evans type player, because Mike Evans is on the downslide. As much as I love Mike Evans, don't like seeing him when he's up against us, but I love his competitive nature and what he brings to the party when it's not in Charlotte or when it's us in Tampa. But he's on the downslide. His career's winding it down. The next year could be the very first year he's not gonna get 1,000. But us on the other hand, we've got the future, Mike Evans. And I believe Dave Canellis is building this offense much like he did in Tampa. Now, many of you are going to say, yeah, but Xavier Legette, isn't he better than Chris Godwin? I could argue that point. I really think Godwin's a good receiver. To me, he's never been elite. I've always been one of those guys. I don't see where he's garnered that type of respect. I think he's a top end number 2, but you hear people talking about giving him the kind of money that T. Higgins got. No, he's not that dude. And I look at Legette, and a lot of people have said he's a high end number 2. I could argue that point too. If the injuries to Xavier Legette were anything like they said it was last year, I'm looking forward to this season. I think ultimately we need to keep these guys healthy. We're the benefits of riches. We've got a plethora of riches, especially at the tight end position. I know I'm talking about the receiving core as a whole, but my goodness, we can't leave out the tight ends. We cannot leave out the tight ends. This draft class, to me, the steal of this draft was Mitchell Evans. Guys, if you don't know much about Mitchell Evans, please check him out. For us to get this guy who was arguably a first and a second round pick the year before, who was a second rounder, this guy has the potential to be Travis Kelce 2.0. What? I've said this before, and I'm going to stick by it because this guy knows how to find the holes. When you think about, let's do this. JT Sanders is in his own bubble with athleticism. He's that tight end that you can throw that thing down the field, he'll go up and get it for you. And he's got some wheels. Then you've got a guy like Tommy Tremble, who does everything. He does everything JT Sanders does, not as good. That's arguably because this guy to me has been underutilized. His rookie year he came in, he had a reverse for a touchdown. Tight end reverse for a touchdown. He brings you a lot of the same tools that Jatavian Sanders brings you, but he blocks better. He's a much better blocker, and he's more willing to go down your throat and put his head in your chest. Then, of course, you got Mitchell Evans, a great route runner. Excellent rapport with his quarterbacks. And with the cerebral quarterbacks such as Bryce Young, if these two room together on the road or they get in hook up during the summer, during these OTAs, guys, let me tell you something. If the Legettes and the McMillans and the Thielens can't get open, listen, these third and shorts, if I'm Dave Canellis and I've got Bryce and Evans on the same page, you can just send your two guys like Legette and McMillan down the field. Let Evans and JT Sanders eat it up and even go 3 tight ends. We've got an opportunity this year, guys. We can go 3 tight ends. Looking at this roster and this offense, the way it is currently designed, we have an opportunity. There's a lot of people that say, oh, we need to have a true number 1. I don't think that's going to happen. And it's not because these guys are not good enough. I just think we've got so much talent in this receiving core. Not to mention, you look what you have with Hunter Renfrow and David Moore. And then you're hearing so many good things about the speed of Jimmy Horn Jr. Talking about how shifty he is. Talking about we haven't seen speed like this since Ted Ginn Jr. Y'all know what that means. Y'all do recall he was the guy that Cam Newton was throwing it to. He could get by anybody. But then you got to also look at what you have in totality. You got Leggett, Thielen, McMillan. Those are your starters projectedly. Then you've got Coker, who's a deceptively fast wide receiver coming out of Holy Cross, who was a pleasant surprise at 6'3" tall. And I mean, the reality of it is, can you imagine how good this offense was with Bryce last season? And we didn't have Tech McMillan. We didn't have Hunter Renfrow. We didn't have Jimmy Horn Jr. And we didn't even have a healthy Xavier Leggett.
God damn!
I'm looking at this and I'm saying this is going to be a situation where all we need, and this is where I have a lot of room for Ichiro Avero. If we can just hold teams to 24 points, and I think we can with Derek Brown. If Derek Brown, it's going to take him a while, and I think a lot of people need to understand this. It's going to take a minute for Derek Brown to get his legs underneath him. I know we're hearing out of practices that he's doing exceptionally well. He's doing his rehab, and he's looking good. But we can't expect him to come out and be Derek Brown 2.0 in the first game. We can't expect that. This is going to be a situation where you've got I wouldn't be surprised if Treshawn Wharton was a 2-down guy to start with. And what I'm talking about is second and third down. You got a guy like Ashawn Robinson. Cam Jackson is a guy that I cannot wait to see get in there. Because he's going to be a dude that eats up a lot of space. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the 2.0 wide receiving core that we're going to have. But what I'm saying is, if we can get Avero to just keep people down from 24 points, a lot of people are going to say 24 points is a lot. Guys, we were killing 24 points at the end of the season. It wasn't nothing for us to hit 30. Guys, when's the last time? Can you guys remember even during the Matt Rule era when we hit 30 points? I mean, we went through, I think it was Steve Wilkes right there at the end of Matt Rule's era. Right during near the end of his tenure, when we started seeing some points being scored. But a lot of that was because we had started getting some guys on our offensive line back, and Steve Wilkes was sold out on the run. He basically knew what he had going into that season. He knew he didn't have much, and he had to go in and he had to rescue what was left of a sinking ship. And he turned it into almost a playoff berth. And I'm a firm believer the reason why the Panthers went through the struggle they went through is because it was like, I don't usually say this, but I was like a karma. That's the guy you should have hung on to. But I don't like revisiting the past when it offends the present. And Dave Canellis has done a phenomenal job. And I think all of us should be excited. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, what happens if we revert back? Well, it may take a minute to get it going. We already know the offensive line is clicking. It's going to take Tech McMillan. And in my opinion, they're going to have Dan Chisena is back. I think he plays for a spot, but I don't know if he ends up making the roster. But Jimmy Horn Jr. is going to be the serious question mark here. I think this is a guy that Dave Canellis is going to really be drawing up certain things for, try to get him in space and see if he'll probably, this is a dude that I think they're going to try to get at least 5 to 7 touches a game because he does have that kind of shiftiness. And I think with Chuba Hubbard and Ricky Dowdle in the backfield, this is an offense that I want all of you guys to hear what I'm about to say. This is an offense that is going to have a lot of mouths to feed. And this goes quite contrary to what the Carolina Panthers have had the last 2 to 3, even 4 years. Not enough mouths to feed. Now we've got plenty of mouths to feed. We don't have enough plays to feed. That's the problem now. And see, this is where Bryce, when he came out, the one thing they said about him, this was a point guard. And I think Dave Canellis recognizes that. The ultimate thing is whether or not guys like Tedero McMillan, Xavier Leggett, Tommy Tremble, Jatavian Sanders, Mitchell Evans, Ricky Dowdle, and Jalen Coker, as well as Jimmy Horn Jr. and Hunter Renfrow and David Moore, can handle sharing touches. I think he's going to be able to handle it because they understand they have to maximize their opportunities. And then what happens is other teams have to play you honest. Now, granted, everybody's going to shade towards Teteroa McMillan, but then this is where you get guys like Jalen Coker. Hunter Renfro's definitely been a guy who's been up there around the 70, 80 mark, so he knows how to get open. Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, as well as Jalen Coker and Jimmy Horn Jr., and even Dan Chisena. You're going to have guys out there that are capable of getting open, along with Mitchell Evans and Jatavian Sanders. These are guys that are going to bust their cans getting open. And they're going to do things with the football. This offense is going to roar. It's going to roar. And it begins with Dave Canellis and Bryce Young being on the same page. Let me know what you guys think. Is this Dave Canellis Tampa Bay Buccaneer offense 2.0? Or is it going to morph into something even better? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you are a first-time watcher or a listener, please put your name down in the comments. If you have just joined the Growling and Prowling family, please, I will give you a growl out if you put your name down in the comments. Make sure you go over to Facebook and add us to your friends list, as well as joining our group of the same name, Growling and Prowling. Also, make sure you go to Instagram at Mr. CeeLo. Check me out and find out all of the shenanigans that I am caught up in. But until the next time, keep prowling the airwaves and keep growling out. Keep pounding.